Open the meeting to the public before we go into closed session for a conference.
Okay.
Do I have an introduction?
So moved.
A second? Second. Roll call?
Councilman Doran?
Yes.
Councilman Monty?
Yes.
Councilman Mandel?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Rose?
Yes.
I hereby open the meeting to the public. Anyone wish to be heard? Mary?
Mary Hogan, 606 Secretary. I have a couple of questions. First, I'm presuming that you're aware that almost all of the fences down at Veterans Field are down. I don't know if someone's just doing vandalism on it, or, but some of the actual poles are knocked down, as well as the orange fencing. So it's totally open for everybody that wants to go on. This was yesterday.
All right.
not yesterday. You have on the agenda tonight a couple of things. Resolution 2012.
Is the mic working?
How is it on?
I hear it. Do you hear it, guys?
How is it on?
Yeah, okay. Seems like it's not coming back here.
Maybe I'm not speaking into it enough. The authorized affordable housing spending plan, and it indicates that it was an amendment that was introduced by the borough planner on the date 12/23/11 and approved, and it's supposed to be approved tonight. And it's for spending, well, the amount that's in the plan is over $1 million, but I don't see the spending plan itself in the resolutions that are over there. So I'd like to know what the plan is to spend it on. Also, in that same element, resolutions 54 and 55 are both tax appeal settlements. One is for 575 River Road, and one is Hudson Harbor, a whole bunch of people that have appealed in Hudson Harbor. And both of them, well, ENU refers to Schedule A and Hudson Harbor refers to Exhibit A, and neither of those exhibits were there, so I had no idea what the properties are being reduced to. Hopefully you have a copy of that. Vote on that. The other issue that I wanted to talk to you about, which is probably part of the frustration that the public feels when it comes to speak to you, is I had gotten a copy of all the minutes from this year, 11, and the open and closed sessions. And things like the dredging equipment were never discussed at the public meetings. Councilman Henwood got up at the last meeting and said things like, you don't have to have a license to run the dredging machine, blah, 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 and it's going on and on and on, and he knows all these particulars. And these were questions that the public asked at the meeting, and we were not aware of it because it was never discussed here. And the question I had is, who's having these discussions, and why are they not being brought to the mayor and council so the public can hear them before you vote on them? See, then you vote to do this, and we're like, I have a million questions, and you've never discussed it. I have no idea what the answers are. And that's part of the frustration we feel here. I just feel like you're having private meetings someplace, or talking about things behind closed doors, or at least not here in the public arena. So the public never knows what you're doing until you throw it up there and say, let's spend $500,000. And then we get up and say, what are you doing? What's the basis for that? What studies have you done? Have you looked at other pieces of equipment? Have you looked at used pieces of equipment? Have you looked in other places? And I know Councilman Vidal mentioned that, but that was never discussed here. So I really think you're doing a disservice to the public that comes and the public that watches the webcams of the meetings, that you're not telling them anything, and you're just saying, well, we're going to spend $500,000 on this, we're going to spend $250,000 on that. And we have no idea what the basis is for you to do that because it hasn't been discussed. So I would like to see a little bit more of an open during the course of 2012. also have an issue, and again, it came up in one of the closed things, is that the entire conversation you had about the Edgewater Colony docks was all done in closed session. I don't feel there's absolutely any reason why that should have been done in closed. We're not discussing the lease that you want to enter into with the colony, the terms of it, or anything like that. We just, Mr. Franz was the one that was speaking. And he was talking about the meetings that were had with the DEP and people like that. Like, no, none of the public knows anything about that, or what the decisions were, unless you requested the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else wish to be heard? Valerie?
Valerie Martinez, 16 Hudson Terrace. You know, I had hoped that the new year, the reorg meeting would bring some, you have new members, a fresh perspective and a new way of doing business for the town, one that was inclusive of its residents and of varying opinions and intellect on maybe how to get the job done for Edgewater. And maybe offer some insight onto things that you're going to try to accomplish this year that you might not have thought about, or, a better solution. If not, at least something to think about. But once again, at the reorg meeting, I witnessed that it's just business as usual. It's the same people being appointed into the same positions and the same boards. It's the same train of thought. It's the same attitude. Where if you come here, you speak before the board or the council, and you have a different point of view, you're just shut out. And it's just really too bad, because I've lived here, I've been part of this community over 30 years. I volunteered here. My children were raised here. They've gone to school here. My husband's volunteered here in many different capacities, and never, ever have either of us or any member that, of the ICDE that I know, we ever on any board that we've been appointed to, or volunteer position or employment, brought politics into it. Generally, our politics stay in our meetings and here. We don't bring them to the playgrounds, to the community center. I never brought it when I was teaching Sunday school or being a substitute teacher. My husband never brought politics into the fire department or when he was coaching Little League. We thought we were giving back to our community, and that would be appreciated. So I just want to make a statement for the record, and I'd like it reflected in the minutes. This mayor and council has systematically and systemically purged all citizens from community boards and activities that have come before this governing body and offered maybe a different view or an oppositional view, and that have had any affiliation with the Independent Coalition for a Better Edgewater. Since we were able in the past to get a few members on boards, and mostly the boards were innocuous boards that didn't have any political impact, but they were purged, and it seems like this governing body's mission is really to exclude us from participating in our town. And I find that offensive. I find it offensive that I've come here time and time again and tried to have a dialogue and tried to say, look, this and this and this, and it's always been ignored. I've offered, Mayor, I gave you my name to be appointed to a board. I didn't say which board, I just said, can I give you my name? And you said I have it. And yet, it wasn't even taken into consideration. There wasn't a dialogue. You had Katie Jones. She's volunteered more for this town than anybody I know, and she was taken off a board. And that's fine. That's fine if you want to change the boards and change the makeups. But what you did was, you essentially only changed the people who have ever come here and had an oppositional view. I mean, you have your neighbor, Evan, who was on the historic committee. The man knows more about the history of this town than anybody who can trace their roots back 4 generations. And yet, because he was a member of the ICBE, he was taken off of the committee. You had Tina Munson, who was on the Arts Council and on the Historic Committee, who never brought politics in it, and she was taken off the committee solely because she was an independent coalition member, and because she's come here and spoke against things. And I think that's offensive. And I had high hopes that things would be different. And I just want to say that a long habit of thinking a wrong thing gives it a superficial appearance of being right. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Hearing none, I'll close the open session. I'd ask that, I'm not feeling well today, I have a sore throat. I'd ask that, Greg, could you read the report from Captain Gregory in regards to the OR spending?
Certainly, Mayor. Essentially, the summation of the spending plan calls for the following: $420,000 earmarked for rehabilitation costs to be allocated to the Edgewater Housing Authority. $500,000 earmarked for the purchase of 5 affordable units by the borough in 38 Coa and or Winterburg Gardens. And $80,000 earmarked for affordability assistance. 30% of our affordable housing trust fund monies must be spent on making units more affordable. Affordability assistance, assisting residents with either rent, for maintenance costs, and various fees that may go along with condominiums and cooperatives and things of that nature. And essentially, that's the amendment to the spending plan that's been presented this evening.
And as far as resolutions 54 and 55, do we have any further information for Mary?
Mr. Boja's office negotiated the settlements along with the assessor. What were the two complexes again?
One is
Hudson
the,
Harbor?
yeah,
And 557.
NU, which is the golf driving range. There are attached to these proposed settlements a breakdown of precisely what the assessments are and what the recommended reduction in assessments are through our new assessor working with also an appraiser, the gauge one, which we did for on, because that's a substantial assessment. I think you'll see that there. And these are range of $15 million assessment properties. And feeling, this was reviewed by an outside appraiser, it was reviewed by our new assessor, and the recommendation was that there should be an adjustment based on the current market conditions. And that's what's reflected in these two memos concerning these reductions. So they were attached to the resolution.
But they're not in the packet for the
No,
public.
it's an internal email, that's why they're
Well-
attached to the resolutions.
Then the resolution should not say Schedule A, Schedule A, because the public's entitled to see a copy of it.
Are you saying Schedule A wasn't
In your blue,
it's not attached?
no, neither one. Yeah, when you go into close, if we could see a copy.
All right,
I mean, what he was just, excuse me,
Well,
what
the
he was
memo,
just,
the explanations.
the explanation, that's what I was referring to, Mary, the explanation is in the email. But this should have been attached, I apologize if it wasn't, I'll be happy to show it to you. When we go into close.
Yeah, thanks.
So is that
Thank
listed by 2 years, 2009 versus 10? And is it also, do they?
2009, 2010, and 2011. what we normally do is part of the settlement that they withdraw the, the pending
You have
ones,
it?
and we make an adjustment going forward. That's what we've tried to do to lessen the financial impact on the municipality. So if there is an adjustment, we try to make that adjustment going forward.
Instead of them, and do they include land assessments?
Yes?
And is that instead of-
He says it's here.
Yes?
It's there.
I have to look.
So we're gonna get that information.
I'll look.
Yes. Yeah. Should be in your packet. So I'll find it out.
All right, as far as Valerie, I took two people off the rec committee that were, I feel, awesome members, but, Tom Quinton has been there for everything and he'll continue to be there. I'd ask the same of Katie Jones. I think I've replaced them with two younger people that I think are gonna be a positive addition to that committee, and I feel very confident in improving that committee with the two members I put on.
But, and I don't disagree with what your decision, what I'm saying is on all of your appointments, you put the same old people on the boards. And you didn't open up to anybody new, anybody. And as far as your rec committee, it's all people who are interested in sports. That's supposed to be a recreational, including art. When that first was appointed, it had people who were interested in the arts, people who were interested in sports. Not every child is a jock.
I understand that, and
You know?
but you know what, there are also the people that are down there all the time. And the two people I put on are down there all the
But
time.
you have to open up. You have to invite people. Of course it's the same people, because you exclude. There are people here who don't want to come because your message is, you shut people out.
Those are two
And
new
you might-
members, Valerie. Those are two new members on the rec committee. They weren't on any other boards, and
They're young
an
kids who are
influence in
on
the recs.
basketball, and I'm not saying anything against them. What about your
I
boards?
understand.
They might be great. I don't deny that.
At this,
Mayor, can I just make one other comment?
Yeah.
There was a reference to the closed session minutes. I don't know the specifics. There was a reference to the dredging, there was a reference to the Colony docks. I have reviewed those items with the borough clerk, and we both concur that they qualified to be discussed in closed session. The docks in particular, because we were talking about leasing the property in the state of New Jersey. The Department of Environmental
That
Protection
was a
requires us
discussion.
to enter into a land lease so that property can be
That wasn't the
leased
discussion.
if we continue to
Point to
pursue
the
that.
minutes.
So, those are the issues that need to be discussed. We felt confident that they did fall within the exception to the Open Meeting Act. And
Exception?
so I'm confident that they were properly discussed in closed session.
Good.
do I have a motion to return to the regular order of business?
You're a record.
So moved.
Do I have a
Councilman Vidal, Councilwoman Rose.
do I have a second? Rose? All right, roll.
Councilman Torres? Councilman Monti?
Yes.
Councilman Vidal?
Yes.
Councilman Rose? Councilman Rose?
Yes. I can do it then.
All right, we're going to go into closed session to discuss part-time policies.
Mayor,
Is he
the
here?
conference members on the line, do you want to continue?
I'll continue, yes.
Until he arrives?
All right. So we have do I have an approval of minutes, January 3rd, 2012, the sign die reorganization? Do I have an introduction?
I'll introduce it.
Second?
Second, Councilman Jordan. Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Monti?
Yes.
Councilman Vidal?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Rose?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. We have no received bids, we have no adoption, public hearing of ordinances. Communication petitions.
Mayor, I don't have anything in writing, but recently in the Record newspaper, there were several references made to some bills that were passed. One bill, which I'm interested in.
School board election's gonna be held in November.
The school board election is being moved to November. I think it's going to be moved this November, but as I understand it, I don't have the entire bill, but as I understand it, I think the school would might have to pass a reso, as I believe do it was. So we're doing away, and it'll be more people voting, and be cheaper for the borough. In terms of cutting down on.
Is it gonna be the same day as the election?
Yeah. So, our ballots are probably going to be as well, but other than that, it's good.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to closed session to discuss part-time policies.
That's the section number 8, any matter involving employment or policies for personnel. With an introduction.
I'll introduce it.
Second,
Second, by Councilman Wooding.
roll call.
Councilman Doran?
Yes.
Councilman Monty?
Yes.
Councilman Mandel?
Yes.
Councilman Jordan?
Yes.
Councilman Rose?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yeah, he was not here. They shut it off?